We're going to transition into Mike Bernier and Long. This is towards the end of the summit. And once again, a reminder, this is brought to you by Virtudesk. They put it all together. And thanks, Pavel. You've done a great job on the back end here.
Yeah,
I know nobody does, but your team is working on this really well. So thank you.
They
and Mike,
do, yes.
Mike and Long, welcome. You guys are going to be talking about leverage. And you guys have done an amazing job scaling your businesses. And Long, Mike, they're like somebody called you guys a power couple, but I don't think that you guys have ever been referred to as a power couple. So I thought that'd be kind of cool to say, hey, look, here's the power couple.
We do fight over who the work wife is. We do have that conversation.
I love it. Well, dude, the floor is yours, guys.
All right. Thank you, Tristan. And hey, I hope you guys still have a little bit of energy left after the long day. I'm sure you've learned a lot. Great presentation so far. Want to give a little bit background on Long and I in just a sec, but today we're going to be talking about scaling with leverage for explosive growth in your business. Oops, there we go, skipping ahead. So for those that don't know me, my name is Mike Bernier, my partner Long Doan, who's also on this with us today. We are the owners of Realty Group, a brokerage out of Minnesota, now currently nearly 650 real estate professionals. We own a real estate company, a title company, an insurance company, and a whole bunch of other things. We have been through the leverage game at a high level. We're going to be talking a lot today about how to leverage both, I want to say domestic U.S. citizens, as well as VAs. And the VAs we're using right now are from the Philippines. So we'll be talking a little bit about that.
I love
Our progression in the real estate industry. Both Long and I started as top producing agents. We were both in the top 1% and the top 100, even the top 50 agents in our state of Minnesota, which at the time when we were still really in production, there was around 18,000, 19,000 agents at the time. We've been top producing team leaders, currently a top 300 brokerage in the US. And again, ownership in 9 business. Long, do you want to add anything to that? I just said a lot. I don't want to take all the time here.
Long, he is giving you a thumbs up. He's saying that good thing you changed your name to Mike.
I did, yeah. Anything you want to add there, Long? Or are you good? You're on mute.
Where's my shirt where it says you're on mute?
I got that shirt.
Mike has one. Whoever's still on, this we're saving the best for last. So definitely you're gonna want to listen in. But so far everything Mike's saying is right.
Okay, so what I want to talk to you guys first about is the progression of real estate. The way we look at it, there's about 5 real problems to solve in real estate. And when you solve these problems, you can pretty much say, I've won the real estate game. The first problem that we really identify with is consistent income. Think about when you first got your real estate license. What's your first problem to solve? You have no clients, you have no database, no history. You're brand new. Your first real problem is to go out there and build yourself a consistent income. Now, each one of these problems, as you solve them, kind of works you into a new one. Speaking of your problems, Tristan, do you see this? I'm going to hold this up. I like to be animated. So I broke my hand in 2 places. I know somebody's going to bring it up, so I'm just going to throw it up there.
All right, hold on. How'd you break your hand? What happened?
I literally dropped a weight on it in Las Vegas. So don't ever try to go to Vegas and be healthy. This is the type of thing that happens.
All right, so you were bench pressing, you were...
I dropped a weight from a bench onto my hand as I was doing push-ups next to it. So yeah, really smart move.
Did you know it broke instantly or not?
It broke in 2 places instantly. You got it. Yep. That did not feel well.
Damn.
So back to what I was talking about. Speaking of leverage, I got to leverage my left hand a lot these days. So consistent income, once we solve that problem, once we start getting that down where we're getting a deal a month, 2 deals a month, whatever it is, we tend to work ourselves into a separate problem, which is efficiency. I don't know how many of you guys have ever felt when you're doing 18 deals a year like you need 2 assistants. So when you think about efficiency, right? When you think about efficiency, we're going to talk about productivity in a minute. But with efficiency, you start figuring out how to best leverage your time for the most maximum high dollar producing activities. And to do this, you start doing things like outsourcing. I don't know about you. Oh, wait a sec. My computer's dying.
I thought your arm was falling off for a second. I was like, are you okay?
There we go.
Long needs to
Again.
So I don't know about you, but in my quest of efficiency, I really struggled to let things go when I was in production. I was doing 75 plus deals a year. I'd let nothing go. I was killing myself in my life. I wouldn't even let go of mowing the lawn. I still did that myself. So a tip for you guys, I started outsourcing and leveraging in my personal life because I knew I never would do so in my business life unless I started in personal. I started getting my lawn care done, snow care done, dry cleaning done, car washing done. I would have it all at the house. Once I started freeing up my mind a little bit or freeing up my time a little bit, because I'm not doing those things anymore, I was able to focus on the things that actually brought in money. One thing about real estate agents, I think we can all agree, is we spend a lot of time being busy, but not a lot of time being productive. Once we get through that efficiency scale and we're outsourcing and we're doing more with our time and we're getting more done, we work ourselves into the third problem. The third problem is scale. At some point, you have to scale if you want to continue to grow your business. If you want to do 200, 300, 400, 1,000 units a year, you're never going to do that alone. You're going to have to scale. When you start to do this, you start building a team. There's different team models. There's different progressions of this. But likely, no matter how you do it, you're going to work yourself into the fourth problem, which is profitability. Who's ever started building a team that immediately got sick to their stomach when they start realizing all the bills that were coming in and the splits on the commissions you're used to making are now starting to go elsewhere? You're not making as much money per deal anymore, but you still got to pay all the bills and then some. So profitability and team building and business building is always a challenge. And I think that's where a lot of agents kind of lose their stomach for it. And last, once you solve that problem, you work yourself into the last one, which is creating some sort of passive residual income that you no longer have to bust your tail for. Getting out of the operations of all your business, creating the passive income, and being able to stop selling houses and still have revenue generating. So Long, anything to add to that?
Yeah, so on a consistent income piece, as you guys know, 85% of real estate agents never even make it out of there, right? Because they're going to fail within the first few years. So only 50% of you guys for those who are on this, actually should have already been right there or making it through. And the second step, efficiency, is systems run business, people run system. So to be more efficient, you got to learn to have process system in place to allow you to have more time to do it. And then scaling, it just being more going from efficient to effective. And I know I saw a slide later, Mike's going to deep dive on that, but you should already have an organizational chart lay out for yourself, even though your name might be in all those boxes, but you need to start having it build out. So as you grow to go to profitability, touch on that, Mike, is that we always strive and recommend people track. You don't track, you don't know if you're profitable. Many people think they make so much money in gross income, but by the time whatever you're paying out for lead, you're not maximizing. You're actually not making that much money, right? It's not how much you make, how much you keep. So that's another big piece of profitability. I recommend having a process system set up to track everything. And then the passive income, of course, right? When we first all start out, we have more time than money. Then we start making some money, then we have some money now. We can buy back time by hiring and leveraging. That's what we're talking about. But eventually, you're going to have your money make money for you by investing. And for us, a lot of it's really using real estate because we're in real estate.
And if you look at something like the cash flow quadrant, which is a great piece of work, Tristan, I think you're familiar with that. And what it really breaks down is most people in this country are employees. They trade their time for money, and they trade risk for reward. They're low risk. They don't want a lot of risk. They just want to go to work, get a paycheck, but they're not going to make as much money. Then you have your self-employed individuals. This is where most real estate agents really are. They're self-employed conducting business, but they're not really business owners running a business. Very few of us ever make it to actually running and owning a business. And if you do, a lot of times you're still an operator into it. So a business by definition is the systems that run the business. That's what we're talking about. Do you have the systems that you are created that actually qualify you as running a business? Can you step away from your business and have it run independently of you? Oh, go ahead, Tristan.
Because that's actually at the most basic level, which I love. I think we can look at our business as an individual agent. And if we start with systems from the very beginning, that's exactly, dude, you're reiterating what Robert Slack said, which he said, hey, I started with systems, even though I started with $148 using my wife's credit card for Zillow, I had systems. And I was like, oh, that makes, dude, I love that.
It all starts with systems. And then when you really think about your residual and passive income, you have to start creating a business income that you then peel off part of that to create your passive income. Now, the reality of it is what Long just said is true about tracking. Most of us that are making money don't realize how much we're losing at the same time. Success is the biggest enemy of growth. Because you're making some money, you're not really paying attention to where you're losing it. And that's one thing that you want to start paying attention to. So I also want to talk real quick about, I also want to talk a little bit about an epiphany I had. I walked into a restaurant a few years ago. I call this the one waitress, no food restaurant, because what happened was I walked in, it was a beautiful small setting. There was only 7 or 8 tables. We sat down, it looked quaint. The bar was sort of in the middle of the room. And the bartender was basically the server, the bus person, probably the cook. So they couldn't turn a table in less than like 2 hours. We sat there. I mean, what the waiter wanted to do was really deliver a top-notch experience. They tried to connect, they tried to communicate, they tried to make sure that we were happy, but the reality is they couldn't deliver because they were spread too thin. I remember looking at the guest I was with, and I said, I don't know if this place is going to make it. It's a newer restaurant. I just don't see them making it. A year later, they're out of business. So the business owner in me looked at that and said, if I was them, I'd be blowing out walls to add more tables. I'd be adding support. I'd be making sure there's busboys and server assistants and bartenders. Because at the end of the day, what that waiter wants to do is provide food on time, make sure the drinks are full, make sure you have a great experience, and you'll come back. I think real estate agents operate the same way. What we want is we want to focus here on the relationship. We want to keep the drinks coming, the food hot. We want to make sure they're happy and they come back with friends and referrals. But we can't always deliver that when we're spread so thin. Tristan, you had something to say?
Dude, I thought you were going to go into the experience at Twin Peaks in Florida for a second. Like, that's that story where you went into the wrong restaurant with the.
That's one of those failure moments where you fail forward afterwards. Yeah. Well,
I thought you made it into. I thought that story made it into your deck here. That was.
Oh, you know, I probably should add it.
So good, dude. Sorry. Had to interrupt.
I'll bail you guys out of this. Let me add a few bit to that. That was like an inside joke that we should not share with anybody else. But you know, one thing here that Mike touched on, what he's saying is, as a real estate professional, you guys can be a solo agent, new, been doing it for a while, high producing, medium producing. There's a lot of things that goes into what we do as a real estate professional. So the one thing that we encourage our agents all the time to do is what we call the and then what exercise. If you are doing a listing, what are all your steps to the listing? You get a listing appointment, and then what? You show up, you do this, and then what? They say yes, and then what? You take the photo, you go back to a listing. The reason you want to do that is this. If you take a piece of paper and you draw a line down the middle, and the left side is income producing activity, and the right side is production supporting activity, you write down everything you do, you're going to realize 80% of the time you're spending time on income producing, not income producing activity. It's production supporting. So the little leveraging switch that we're going to keep telling you here is going to be a shift that you're actually going to work half the time that you used to and double your income just because of leveraging.
Speaking of leverage, when we talk about leverage, Long and I talk in terms of leverage in 4 things. We leverage our time, money, people, and systems. Now, this is not in a linear order. These are just the 4 we do. And if you really think about it, when you first start selling real estate, you have more time than money, right? So the way you use your time is what's going to produce the income. When you start making some money, you're going to leverage that money to buy back some time so you can spend it in the right spots. You're going to leverage people to help you. And the deeper you go in your departments, the deeper you departmentalize, Long just mentioned listings. As you start building a large production team or a brokerage or any other business, you can't wear all the hats. You can't be the CEO, the CFO, the COO, the CTO, and the CMO. You can't do it all. You have to start leveraging people and building deep departments. That Long mentioned the org chart. If you don't have an organizational chart, Google one, create one, live by it. Anything to add to that, Long?
Yep, and of all those, by the way, time is the equalizer. I don't care if you're a billionaire, you're homeless, we all have the same amount of time. Some people have more money, some people have more people to help, some have better system. It all boils down to time. And I know Tristan, at LCA, we do a lot of training on time, because if you learn how to leverage time, you can maximize and be way more efficient.
Very true, man. I think on that, because you're about to bring up the Pareto Principle, is when we were interviewing Tom and Barry, Carrie, and Robert, they were all bringing up the same thing. And that was that as they started scaling, they had to leverage out the things that they just didn't have time for anymore, that weren't important for their growth, right? And I think that's what you're going to get into right now. So go ahead. Sorry, guys.
So yes, what I want to talk about is the scientific principle, the Pareto Principle. This is true across all mediums. It's fascinating, actually. They call it the 80-20 rule, or the law of vital few. Now, I'm going to give you a few examples of this, but let's talk about it, how it applies to your time and productivity. what we have on the slide here, the payoff is in productivity, not the grind. Busy is not always better. It's not about how hard you work. It's about how effective you work. So let me give you some examples of this. Long just mentioned that if you journal your time and how you're spending it, you'd find out where you're spending your time. Is it valuable use of time, or is it the grind? Now, I would say you could even journal if you just only wrote down the number of hours or minutes per day that you spent on high value activity. You might be surprised. You maybe spend an hour, maybe two, if you're really, really solid. What if you had those 2 hours and you multiplied those and made them 8 every single day? So if you make 100 grand a year and you're working 2 hours a day, what happens if now you're working 8? The more productive your time is, the more you understand the value of your time. What Long just said, it's the greatest equalizer, right? Doesn't matter if you're the best looking, most connected, smartest, most intelligent person, you have the same amount of time as I do or as anybody else. It's how we use that time. It's understand the value of it. Recently, I ate dinner with a man that has a $1.2 billion revenue company, not valuation, but $1.2 billion revenue company. He has a 30% profitability, means that every year he takes home in his bank account $400 million. And I quickly did the math on that, and I said, you make $192,000 an hour. This man invited me over to his condo for 2 hours just to show me the area that we were in, because it was new to me. We were looking at purchasing a home there. He spent basically $400,000 of his time. He's like, I really enjoyed your company. That really touched me, because I'm like, this guy's time is valuable. Then I start thinking, how valuable is my time? Do I understand the value of my time? Do agents understand the value of your time? Many team leaders, by the way, I ask the value of their time. And the response I get is, well, it's in lead generation. It's making sure we close leads. I'm gonna give you guys a tip real quick. If you're running a team, and I know not everybody on the call is running a team, but just think about this for a minute. If you're running a team, there's an average revenue per agent on your team. Call it 35,000, 40,000, 50,000. If the quickest way for you to earn $1 million a year is to multiply that 50,000 by what? 20 people on your team. So recruiting could be the highest, most guarded piece of what you guard, or piece of your day. That could be the most valuable use of your time. So I'm not going to tell you what the most valuable piece of time is for your business, but if you don't understand what it is or don't truly know, that's where you have to start. So what we find is examples. I want to say it was about 1997. They surveyed 400 movies that came out of Hollywood. 80% or 90% of the actual Hollywood revenue that year came from 1.4% of the movies. That was only like 4 or 5 movies. Okay. So think about brands like Coca-Cola. Most of their revenue is going to come in from one soft drink line inside of their brand. Look at Mountain Dew, for example, and Pepsi. So the point is, the Pareto Principle is something you guys should really pay a lot of attention to. Where am I spending my time? And all the things I'm working on that I shouldn't, what's my solution? Anything to add, Long?
Yes, so just if you didn't hear Mike already, what the Pareto Principle actually saying is 20% of the time we spend actually resulted in 80% of what we should be doing. And the 80% of the time we spend only result in 20% of what we should be doing. So if you can figure that out and maneuver that and leverage the things that we're talking about right now, you can quadruple your productivity by not working any harder or any more hours.
Again, 20% of our efforts, 80% of our productivity comes from 20% of our efforts, right? So if we take that 20% and we multiply that, that's when we start really increasing the value of our time. Now, this is something that we have to get our mind wrapped around. Like most control freaks out there, a lot of real estate agents, let's say most of them are control freaks. They don't want to let go. They think they're the only ones that can do it as good as they can. So the term automate, delegate, eliminate, we need to focus on efficiency, effectiveness. And here, we're not just talking about time management. We're talking about attention and focus management. Think about this. We are distracted all day long. We are worried all day long about something that hasn't happened yet, a closing that hasn't happened yet, or we're looking backwards on something that didn't go right, and we're thinking everything else is going to turn out that way. We need to focus our attention in the present, in the moment, on the tasks and the activity that we need to focus on to be productive. Everything else needs to be automated, delegated, eliminated completely. I bet you every one of you guys right now are working on things that will produce nothing for you. Eliminate it. Things that have to get done, but they're still not productive or income producing. Delegate it. And any system you can automate, set it and forget it, the better. Anything you want to add to that, Long?
Yep. What you focus on, what you get, right? That's what it is in our business. So remember, you guys are all CEO of your own company. You may be a solo agent company. You may be a team of 10 or 20 or whatever it is, one of your biggest job as a CEO is to understand how to be more profitable and look at your time. I know we keep circling back to time, but most of us, again, don't realize time. Go ahead, Tristan.
I have a question on that for you, Long, and then for Mike. How do you determine what that is for you? Like, are you continually saying, oh, well, I need to take that off of my list?
Yep.
How do you continue to do that? Because if you don't grow.
Totally agree, right? Mike's said already, success is the biggest enemy of growth. When you're doing pretty well, you start forgetting, but at the end of the day, you need to constantly remember your end goal. What is your goal? Because from there, you reverse engineer back all the things you need to do, right? So if when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something. So we are a big firm believer that 80% of your capacity is 100%, because you need to leave that 20% for reactive stuff. Because in our industry, you always get something reactive. The buyer call you about something, the seller, the loan officer, stuff you didn't have on your calendar, you got to deal with, right? So which is why lead to what I was starting to say was time is so finite that you just imagine it's like a checking account you have. And you only get a certain amount of money or a certain amount of time. So if you're going to be spending time on a certain task, you don't have time to spend on something else. And unlike your checking account, which you can get NSF, non-sufficient fund, with time, you run out of time, you run out of time. You can't even try to make up for it, because once the time is gone, the time is gone.
So, and I also want to add this too, the 80-20 rule of capacity. What Long's talking about, most of us run at 100 to 110% capacity. We're too busy to really strategize what's next in our business. We're too busy to really pull our heads out of the weeds and get out of the weeds. If you look at it, you have technicians, and a lot of real estate agents are technicians. We're working inside the transactions. We're working inside the lead generation. At some point, we become managers. We start managing processes and people. And we're less technician, more manager. And at some point beyond that, we can go to an executive level where we're strategy, business building, profit machines. That's where we all should want to go if we really want to grow and scale. But you're never going to get there if you're in the weeds at 110% capacity all the time. You have to free yourself up and be at 80%, because in that 20%, that's where the magic is. That's where the strategy comes. That's where the time to find work-life balance comes. That's where you recharge, where your energy comes. So we all kind of get guilty of, hey, I just need to work harder if I want to make more money. It's not about working harder. It's about working more productively and smarter.
Yep. The last comment on that is, if you don't have on your calendar to work on your business, you need to. You got to block off time every week, if not half an hour a day. You even throw it on your calendar as work on my business, because that half an hour you have is when you block yourself away from all the stuff and think of, am I going around the right direction here? It's all the thing I'm doing this week, next week is achieving the goals that I have for myself.
Now, with Long, we have nearly 40 employees, 17 virtual assistants, and a whole bunch of people that work locally with us. So that being said, I want to talk about some of the ways that we leverage virtual assistants, because that's, after all, what the summit's about, is how can we start leveraging virtual assistants are an excellent way. Now, when people think about using virtual assistants in their business, they think generally, well, maybe they could do some transaction coordinator work for me. Maybe they can help me with some social media. But what we forget is VAs can do some really big things in revenue generation. Because here's the other thing, your business has two sides. It has operations and revenue generation. Those two things are both important, but only one pays the bills. One's sort of defense and the other's offense. Yeah. So you have to think, well, how do I do an approach that if I grow my business, I got to bring the money in so I can pay for the operational things to create the systems and close the holes in my business. There's a method to that. There's a rhythm to that. With VAs, what we've learned to do is use them in two really powerful rev gen spots. One's going to be recruiting, and the other is going to be in lead generation. And Long does most of the recruiting, so I'll let him talk about what we do in recruiting and how we leverage VAs for scheduling, for phone calls, for outreach, for follow-up. So Long, give him the 3-minute view if you could.
Yeah, the reason we love virtual assistants, and some call it virtual professional, right? VA or VP. So the great thing about virtual assistant is it opened us up to a bigger market. Now it's globally versus where you live locally, because we're so used to on-site hiring someone within 15, 20 minutes where you live. Well, because you're able to open it up, the pool of talent just got way bigger, right? That's number one. The other one too is just because they're virtual assistant doesn't mean they're less qualified. That's the one big misconception we hear people say, oh, because we pay them less, they must do less for us. So like Mike had mentioned, for me in my space, because Mike and I divide and conquer, we do a lot more for me on my side with a lot of more recruiting and growing the company. So we have VAs now that will call to set appointment for me, confirm for me, help follow up, help research and send me the data of the agents I'm meeting with and keep me on my schedule. She's one of 18 VAs we have right now at our company.
Oh, we had another one. Sorry, Tristan, we're always one ahead of you.
Dude, I love this. Wait, no, I have 19 now. There you go.
Oh, you beat us now.
Oh,
Dang it.
but I only beat you for a day. I know tomorrow you'll have a new one.
Yep, probably.
All right, a question.
But the great thing is there's a lot of resources. Virtudesk is one of them, obviously.
Quick question, guys, for you from the audience. One of you said a phrase about success, and you guys are always dropping these little nuggets and phrases. Do you guys remember which one said it and what it was?
Probably success is the greatest enemy of growth. I think that's what you're talking about. Yep. And it's sort of it's a paradox there, because as you're doing well in business and you're making money, what you're not seeing is all the places operationally where you're spending, wasting money or wasting opportunity, because all you're thinking about is I'm positive in the bank account, I'm comfortable, I'm doing well. So that's what you need to do, like forensic audits on all your systems. A while ago, somebody asked a question, I think it was you, Tristan, that asked a question of, how do you continue to grow? And really the way that it works, or how do you decide what to work on, or what do you do with the stuff that you're not supposed to work on? I use the word departmentalize. If it fits in a department, it goes there. If I don't have that department, I create it. That's how we're going to do it. So if there's a listings department that needs to be created, we're going to create it. If there's a marketing department, we're going to create it. If there's going to be a financial and accounting department, we're going to create it. It can't always be us, because if it is, we're going to be like the thing that got us successful in the first place will be the first thing that will kill our growth in the long run. We might have been great to get the business started, but it can't just be us anymore.
So true, man. That is so well said. I love that.
All right. So Long, anything else you want to add to the recruiting?
Yep, let's just move. I know we're running out of time.
What I do want to say is we will recruit under that model nearly 400 agents this year by the end of the year, we believe. So, that's the level of sophistication in those systems to have VAs helping with the recruiting, the phone calls, the follow-up, setting the follow-up email campaigns. I mean, it's pretty sophisticated how we do it.
Onboarding.
Onboarding. They're part of the onboarding process, pre-onboarding. The other place that we use VAs with revenue generation is lead gen. So we've got multiple ISAs that we've got a database somewhere around 45,000 for a smaller lead team that we run within the brokerage. We've got 3 or 4 ISAs total, but they're making phone calls through dialers, constantly creating appointments. So we're not just giving our agents leads, we're literally giving them appointments. We're setting them up and teeing them off with appointments that we run for the back end with VAs. And we do the same thing with FSBOs expired. So it's not just inbound leads in a database. We can actually create our own opportunity there too as well.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
On hiring and the training process, because we assume it's your next slide.
I'm always a step ahead, buddy.
I just knew it. I'm
always a step ahead.
And you know what? I'm going to shut up. Go ahead.
So creating and hiring the training program. So where to find qualified VAs. So obviously Virtudesk is sitting right here. It's a great third party. One thing that we're going to say is make sure that you interview them well, know which questions to ask. I remember one time we interviewed an ISA that claimed that they'd done circle prospecting. They knew some buzzwords, but when I actually dug in to see what their systems were, they had none. And they just knew which words to research before they talked to us. We want literally everything from references to deep diving on what they know. Having the VA, like all VAs are not created equal, by the way. So having the VA in the right role is crucial to the success. There's really task-oriented VAs, there's marketing VAs, there's outbound calling, inbound calling VAs, there's all kinds of skill sets. Make sure you're aligning with the right one. Also on the training, don't set it and forget it with them. Don't just put them on task and put them out there and forget they're there. You have to communicate with them often. Really indoctrinate them into your culture, into your community, and indoctrinate them into your systems. Spend time with them. It will pay off at the end. So there's a lot of front load to it, but in the end, they run with it. And actually, if you don't have the systems to train a VA, because it's your first one, I'm going to give you another pointer. They will help you create them.
Ooh. All right, go through that. How would we do that? Let's say, I'm just going to throw something out there. Let's say we're hiring one for social media and we're like, we don't know where to start. What do we do?
Sure. So what you're going to do is you're going to hire one that's already, like I said, you're going to interview ones that have experience there. and they're going to help you kind of build that version 1.0. You're going to test it, you're going to tweak it, and you're going to track the results. And from there, you're going to continue to improve. But this is why it's so important, Tristan, to make sure you don't just hire somebody that has no experience. The beauty of the VA world is they've got people that do everything, and there's just a huge range of experience in there. So make sure you're hiring people with the skill sets you need, because they probably know more than you do. Once you realize that, that's where the magic happens.
Dude, I love that. Thank you.
You bet. How to retain them. If you don't bring them in to your company culture, don't make them feel like they're down the hall, the chances are they're just not going to perform well for you. They love the recognition. They love the inclusion. They love to feel just as important as the person that's sitting down the hall. So make sure that you're making them part of the community, and make sure they're recognized. They love recognition. That's another tip for us right there. Long, anything to add?
Yep. So where do you find quality VAs? Obviously, you can use third-party company like Virtudesk that Pavel have. They already vetted and bring you qualified VAs. Otherwise, you can go direct and find them as well. How to interview them? Treat them just like their on-site staff. Go through the same process to interview, except instead of face-to-face, it'll be via Zoom, right? Maybe send a video, Zoom, make sure they follow directions on how to do them, and then train them. Again, treat them just like an on-site. Mike put together an LMS, a learning management system. So when they come on, they're going to jump on there, because we don't want to duplicate anything, right? Automate, delegate, eliminate. So that's what we do. How to retain them. I'm paraphrasing Sir Richard Branson now, but train them well so they can leave you, but treat them well so they don't want to, right? So that's another thing, that we treat them just like they're down the hall from us.
Long, I can't write fast enough. Damn it.
Here's the thing I'll tell you. A lot of people are scared of hiring VA. So one thing that Mike and I are known for, we usually build a plane while we're flying it. We're not afraid to fail, right? We even come up with an acronym that's called LIFE. What's LIFE all about? L is learn, I is implement, F is fail, and E is evolve. You'll only evolve and learn and grow if you fail. So we fail at this in the beginning, right, Mike? But we must have hired and fired and let go so many VA on version 1.0, 2.0, as you have said.
And I'll tell you this, and that LIFE acronym, it circles. It's not a once and done. It continues. You will continue to do it, and you keep leveling up. You fail forward, you don't fail backward. That's the idea. I also want to say this, in training VAs, we've got VAs that have been with us now so long, they're training our other VAs. We have VA managers inside our VA staff. So now we're not training them, because you know what? They know their job better than I do. They know their workflows and SOPs a lot better than I do. They're training people underneath them. So how cool is that when you have VA staff that you can bring, they're in on the interview process, selecting who they want to work with, training them, and creating better systems they bring to us. One thing about working with somebody, you don't want to tell them all the time what the system is. You want them to come to you and say, hey, I have an idea, or we have a problem. I don't want just the problem. I want the solution. Come to me with the problem, but then tell me what the solution is. That's how we're training our VAs to operate. That being said,
so I have a question for you on growth really quick, because
yeah,
you guys have gone from a brand new company, what, like 4 years ago? What are we at?
7 now. It seems like yesterday, but we started 7 years ago with 8 agents.
All right, you started with 8 agents, and now where are you at? And what does the organization look like?
So right now we're about 650 real estate professionals that will do 1 out of 13 homes sold in Minnesota will be one we're involved in. And there will be 92 to 95,000 homes sold this year in Minnesota. So we do a lot of volume, a lot of units. And right now I'm telling you that next year will probably be our biggest growth year because of the systems we're putting in this year.
And Minnesota, you guys are going into Florida.
Yeah, we're going to go hang out with Carrie and with Robert, depending who's more sociable that day.
Oh, both of them are great. And then do you guys cover Canada or no?
You know, I was by the border of Canada, and they have not opened that border yet. I was there last week with a broken hand and a fishing pole up at the Canadian border. So they're not.
It'll be hard for us to go to Canada. I think Mike is not welcome there, so we'll have to figure something out.
They got
long. You're welcome, I'm sure.
But I'll tell you this: we are looking at expanding into key markets. So this is the thing with expansion; it goes right into what we're talking about with leverage and building systems. If you build the systems and they can duplicate, you can expand. If you can't do that, you can't expand even locally. So back to VAs, inspect what you expect. One problem I see with agents and VAs is they hire them and they sort of just forget they're there, or they try to let the VAs figure out what's inside their head or what they want. You have to set clear expectations. You have to set clear objectives. You have to set clear KPIs. For those that don't know what that is, it means key performance indicators. How many phone calls do you want made? How many conversations per day? How many appointments are you looking for per day? If you can't hit the KPIs, is it the system failure or the person failure? You have to be able to identify that. Reporting process. I want to make sure they're reporting back to me. I don't want to dig through the system to figure out what they're doing or what the results are. Bring me the report back, and here's how I want it laid in front of me. And then QC. Do you have a plan for when something isn't looking right? Is it a system problem or a person problem? It's going to be one or the other. Anything to add, Long?
Yep, there's a lot of tools you also need to use to reporting process, quality control that Mike had brought up. For example, with VA, there's like, we're using Top Tracker. There's also other things like My Time In. I don't know what Cal will use at his company, but where you can track when they log in, when they're working, because they're not next door to you, right? So you know that they're doing the work. It's also really good to track project, like how long does it take to finish a project. Also, how do you pay them? You know, there's anything all the way from transfer wire to Pareto to direct wiring them money. So you need to be aware of all of that stuff when you work with somebody who's not from the US. And those are all the things you should research in as well, but you should be having all those ready.
And also,
it's a good point. I wanted to just add to that part. We use Timely, but the important part is if you're just starting off, I think it's important to find a company that can train them, track them, give you the full understanding of hiring them. Because now I use a combination. Like, I use a couple from Virtudesk for sure, but then I also go direct, right? But it's harder direct. And I know you guys go direct. And if you didn't have a premise, right, of, hey, this is how it looks, this is how it's supposed to look, or setting it, you wouldn't be able to go direct because you didn't.
We wouldn't. There's no way we could have. Yeah. So another thing that we do too, when speaking of KPIs, key performance indicators, because we service agents, we have to really focus on our response time. We've got email and phone systems that we know exactly how many emails come in per week, what the response rate is, the response time from our staff. We look at everything in reports every single week to make sure that we're hitting the numbers we want. And we look at the same thing for our buyers and sellers. If I'm a team leader, I'm going to make sure that everything's running through the same system so I can see how long did that lead take to get responded to? Did they actually get a response? What was the result of the conversation? So tracking is something that is crucial to identify problems, because how do you put a solution in place without really truly understanding the problem?
Dude, all right. That was right on there. I love that.
Where to start? This is big. I talked to an agent the other day, and I see this all the time, but man, this individual is really struggling with this. Mission, vision, values. What the problem was with this agent, they didn't know where they want to go. They're like, I want to do more, but I have no idea what. I don't know what I want to be. Do I want to be a team, a solo agent, a luxury agent? They had no idea. You know what's happening to their growth? Flatline, because they don't know which blueprint to follow. Think of your business like a blueprint. Have you ever tried to build a house without one? You need an architect, right? Be the architect of your own business. What is the reason you exist? Your mission statement is your reason for existing. Why real estate? Every time I hear an agent say, I want to help people, I say, grab an ambulance or a fire truck and go help people that way. Why real estate? If you don't know the answer to that, you need to figure it out. Figure out the impact and the legacy you're trying to create in your career. Figure out then where you want to be. Your vision statement is where you're going. At the end of the day, what did you accomplish? And by what values did you operate? Because when something doesn't align with your MVV, you just plain don't do it. This is a time of attention deficit, my friends. Everybody's advertising to us. There's shiny objects around every corner. If we don't clearly understand our MVV, we can get pulled off and flatline our growth very quickly. Once you know your MVV, you start looking at your priorities. You have to identify your priorities. Again, there's too many things coming at you. What's my priorities? When you understand your priorities, you set clear objectives and also milestones. You can't eat the elephant in one bite. You can't go from 35 units sold a year to 350 overnight. You need to set milestones so you can build the systems, celebrate that win. Now you're at 50, then you're at 75, then you're 150, and pretty soon your milestones that you're setting, you're hitting. You're learning how to accomplish those goals. And last, this is big, hire proactively, not reactively. I would rather see everybody 1 to 1.5 persons over capacity than under. When you're under capacity and you're hiring behind your need, you're never hiring from a clear place of anything but panic.
Oh, so true, dude. I think you guys should have led with that one. That's that important. I think
it's that important.
Oh, we're so behind. We need this. And then you don't hire the right person because everybody knows you're desperate, right?
And your quality of your work as you're behind keeps slipping. So you're actually starting at a deficit with a new hire. So always hire proactively and ahead.
Dude, Dude, all right. I love that. And we have your slides. So if anybody is asking, first, if anybody's asking, are they hiring? You're going to have to contact Mike and Long directly for Florida or for Minnesota. And if you need anything from them, feel free to reach out to them there. What's the best way to get a hold of you guys? Email, text, what?
Look at that, right on the screen, man. We're always one
Right on the
slide ahead of
screen.
you, Tristan.
Look at that, dude.
So,
Right there.
I need to look at the screen a lot more, apparently.
We've been working with you so long. We know what you're going to ask next every time.
Oh, that's so good, guys. All right. Well,
But hey, just to add one last thing, Tristan. So to summarize everything you saw there, we talked about the org chart and then having process, system, and tasks so that you can find out. As a CEO of your company, you need to learn to automate, delegate, eliminate. We talked about already. You need to have this mindset. Be the laziest son of a bee that you can be. Find a way to pass off every task on your list to somebody else. Because what's remaining is what you should be doing as a CEO to make sure you can grow your company and leverage everything around you.
perfect, guys. Well, I love that. I want to bring on Pavel if he's still he's out in Russia, so I don't know if he's awake or not, but if he's not,
Oh, I'm awake. All right.
oh, there you go. There you go, Pavel. Well,
Yeah.
guys, thank you for being on. Mike Long from Realty Group. We are going to share your slides into the leverage community. So if anybody contacts you, you know where that's from. So thank you so much. And continue growing because
Thank you guys for being here. Yeah.
I want you guys to be on the leverage as well.
See you guys.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Thank you guys.
So Pavel, dude, let's wrap
What's
this up.
going on, bro?
Thanks for joining me from Russia. What part of Russia are you in?
I am. Yeah. Well, things are going good here, man. A little bit kind of on the cold side, but it's all good, So,
All right. Good.
and it's 4 o'clock and it's like 4:30 in the morning right now.
Oh,
So I'm on the same time zone as the Philippines, actually.
I love that, dude. Well, look, I wanted to show a couple of things because for those of you that are still here, we got 180 people between here and the Facebook group. But I wanted to showcase some of these tasks and duties that we're also going to send out later through you guys signing up just to get this. And this is the administrative duties. We've outlined them for you here. So I know a lot of questions that get asked. So what do I have our admin do? That's number one. What do I have our marketing manager do? Here you go, marketing manager tasks. And this is something that Virtudesk put together for you because I know we get a lot of questions like, well, should they be doing this? Should they be doing that? And if you have no idea, this is a great place to start. That's number one. They also have job descriptions, marketing manager tasks. We already went through. Here is one of my favorite ones because this is where I started. I know it's simple, but you can expand from this. This is exactly what Mike Bernier was talking about. So if you have somebody that you're like, oh, you know what? I wonder if they're good enough. Well, go through this and say, hey, are these some of the things you can do? And if they can, then I would take a piece of what Carrie Schultz said and said, okay, if you can do this, then go ahead and edit this YouTube video and show me that you can do this. And go ahead and create a link so that I can see all the SEO work that you're preparing for me on this. So you have to put them to work to see what they're actually doing. Pavel, anything you want to add to that? Because we got a whole bunch of stuff like this transaction coordinator one as well, past client concierge, human resource.
Yeah, well, this is those checklists actually come very helpful to like agents who sometimes don't know what tasks to delegate to their VAs and where to start. So this is a good way to kind of like give you ideas, and sometimes by looking at those checklists, they can see that, oh, this is actually can be done, so that I may actually need it for my business, So and most of the VAs we have, they know how to do it, so that's a good start.
Perfect. All right, for those of you still with us here, we're about to wrap up. I put up the link there for the Virtudesk Leverage Summit. Go ahead and sign up there. If you have any questions about getting a VA, part-time, full-time, social media, video editor, ISA, anything you want, they've got it. And of course, I do have a few from there for myself and for Lab Code agents. So there you go.
Yeah.
Candace, they're going to share those tasks with you by email. So once you go ahead and sign up there, they'll send you everything. And if you're registered or you watch this, they're going to send you out an email. And if you want to watch the recording, it's still in the Facebook community. It's going to live there. We're gonna
It's still there. It's gonna be on the YouTube as well. So YouTube and Facebook, you guys can check it out.
Yep, we're gonna leave it into the
Absolutely.
top. So be sure to join that group. Let me throw that in there as well. All right, I need, before we leave, Pablo, I'm gonna ask you, you caught the end of this, but I'm gonna ask them too. Everybody that's still here, we'll end with this. Let me know 1 or 2 things that you learned from this that you're going to implement, because one of the things that Jim Quick says, and if you don't know who Jim Quick is, look him up, Google him. He wrote the book Limitless. I just interviewed him on a podcast. He says, knowledge is not power. It's potential power. It only becomes power when you use it. So with that, what did you learn? What are you going to apply? Type it in right now just to inspire me, inspire Pavel here at 4 a.m. in Russia. Type it in right now as I ask Pavel. Pavel, what'd you think of this, buddy?
Oh, I love this, man. I love this. The summit is just, it's amazing. Great energy, great stuff. And I'm sure a lot of people will walk away with a great deal of knowledge. But again, as you said, you know, how they implement it, how they execute it, and that's what really matters. You know, so for those of you who do not have virtual assistants, you guys can reach out to us at Virtudesk. We have a special promo for today, and I think Tristan already shared it. For those who do have a VA, would like to know how to use them better, we'll be more than happy to share. Just reach out to us anyway. We'll be more than happy to share the tasks that you can do. Sometimes you can have the task that you never thought you would. So
that's very true.
So
very true. And I think
reach out to us. We'll share. Yeah, we're all about sharing.
I love it. So let me read a couple of things down here, and then we'll let everybody go. First, we got thank you. That was amazing. Thank you. Yes, love those. We're going to share the tasks. Just sign up on that link that I put up there. Here's what Eric said. He said, be 1 to 1.5 people overstaffed to prevent panic hiring. That was a good move, dude. It reminded me, I'm like, hold on, am I panic hiring at any point? I had to rethink. So I love that. Abir said, I manifested this. I lately always complain that I don't have enough time. VA is a must. Abir, dude, I've got 19 VAs now, and I'm going to hire 2 more and 4 more in-house staff just in the next few months. So yes, you definitely need to hire a marketing VA yesterday and bite the bullet. Melissa, yes. And if you have questions ever, just put them into the leverage community and I can certainly answer them. You can ask me. I've got 4 VAs that are just social media. So that can definitely help you out. Systems run businesses, people run systems. I need a t-shirt that says that. Dude, systems run businesses, people run systems. I love that one.
That's a really good quote. I'd like that to short that as well. Maybe our team will take a note and we'll create one.
I like that, dude. All right, Rama said, great. Yeah. Tools for automation and thought pruning ideas. Rama, thank you. Thank you. Really, really learned where my place is right now and embrace the why to get to that next level. So grateful for the summit. Pavel, you see, dude, we're changing lives. I love that. Importance of systems.
Love that. Yeah.
And VA, love that. Susan said, thank you, Tristan and Pavel. Very inspirational. Maziar, I hope I'm not screwing that name up, but 4:33 p.m. in Toronto. Loved it, enjoyed. Thank you. A time. Oh, love that. You know what? If you ever want us out in Toronto, just let us know. As soon as you guys open up, because I know you're closed for a little bit more. Hire a VA. Shari said that was it. Just sums it all up. I mean, it started with Tom. Tom said, you know what? Let's hire a VA. I could keep going, dude. I love these messages, guys. Thank you so much. And be sure to join the Facebook community. We're going to email you out a lot of information, but inside of the Facebook communities where we're going to post up all the links to all the tech that was mentioned. And then we'll have the link up there as well if you want to get a VA for $1 as a sign-up fee, which is a great deal. Jeff, eye-opening, and I'll leave you with that. Pavel, anything you want to add, buddy?
Well, guys, if you are questioning yourself, when should I start hiring a VA? At what point in production? I'll tell you what, if you're asking yourself this question, you need one already. So do it.
I love it. Thank you, Pavel. Appreciate it. Thanks for making Virtudesk.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you, guys.